Well, hello, everybody. Thank you for coming again today for our September OCBA Forum, where we're going to be talking about the dynamics and the economics of arts in our community. And we're really fortunate and honored today to have 4 different speakers with us. Cheryl Snow is going to lead us off. She's been the director of the Clackamas County, let me get this correct so I don't mess it up, Clackamas County Arts Alliance director since 1999 and brings more than 25 years of experience in this industry and background. So we're really looking forward to what you have to share with us. She's managed various projects during that time. Then Lynda Orzen is going to go ahead and talk with us as well. She brings just the same, many years of experience. You usually see her here from time to time promoting some of the events that are going to be taking place in the Oregon City community and elsewhere. So we're blessed to have you. And then David Smith English, is that correct? Yep. David is going to be giving a presentation with his associate, and your name? Jayne Stevens. Okay, great. And they're with the Clackamas Repertory Theater, I believe. Okay, super. And then we have Judy Stanley, who's going to be our finale, who's going to share kind of what the economics has been for her store at the Harmony Music over in Gladstone, but she's still very involved with the Chamber of Commerce here in Oregon City. So recognizing that we've got 4 different speakers, I'm going to go ahead and get started and turn it over to Cheryl. And then we thought we'd go ahead and allow you to ask questions after each one of the speakers so that everything's still fresh in your mind. And then we'll kind of have a wrap up at the end for any of the speakers that you have a question for.
Thank you, Kent. It is a pleasure to be here today. Thank you for welcoming me. And Kent is going to be my driver of our PowerPoint show. So whenever you're ready, sir, we are ready. So Arts and Economic Prosperity, which I will refer to from now on as AEP 5, is changing the conversation about the arts from a charity to an investment in an industry that provides both cultural and economic benefits to the community. Now, we always have to remember, of course, that the fundamental benefits of the arts are essential. They inspire us, they delight us, and they unite us. Art is definitely a fundamental component of our collective humanity, but I would like to challenge you today to think of the arts as an industry, one that supports jobs, generates government revenue, and is a cornerstone of tourism. Next, please. So first, a little bit of background about this study. AEP 5 is the 5th economic impact study that has been conducted of spending by nonprofit arts and culture organizations and their audiences. It is the largest and the most comprehensive of its kind ever conducted. 341 study regions in all 50 states and the District of Columbia, from small rural communities to large urban communities, populations ranging from 1,500 to 4 million people. Even in our smallest communities, the arts have a measurable economic impact. Only nonprofit and municipal arts and cultural organizations were included in this study. No for-profit entertainment businesses, such as the motion picture industry, no individual artists. Why? Why just nonprofits? Because government and philanthropic dollars are typically directed to nonprofit organizations. So it's appropriate to ask, beyond the quality of life, what is the return on investment of this investment into this industry? The study's methodology was conservative and reliable. Our study partner was Americans for the Arts. They coordinated the study regions in the U.S., including Clackamas County. Only data from organizations that volunteered to provide it was included. No organizations were required to participate, and no estimates were made for non-respondents. Americans for the Arts studied how a dollar ripples through the local economy. Georgia Tech economists customized an input-output model for all 341 study regions. That enabled economists to track how many times a dollar is respent within the local economy. For example, when a theater company purchases paint from the local hardware store, that has a measurable economic effect. However, the economic benefits typically don't end there because the hardware store uses some of that income to pay their own bills. The clerk pays the utility bills and other expenses that they might owe, and those dollars go on and on to increase the round of spending within our local communities. Next, please. This slide describes the total economic activity in Clackamas County. It's composed of two figures, spending by nonprofit arts and culture organizations and the event-related spending by their audiences. Nonprofit arts and culture organizations spent an estimated $15 million in 2015, and that's generally received as surprising information. Yes, most of us appreciate the beauty of the arts, but many people don't realize that these organizations are businesses. They employ people locally, they purchase goods and services within the community, they're members of the Chamber of Commerce and organizations like yours, and they're involved in the marketing and promotion of their regions. Arts organizations are good business citizens. Next, please. Yes, I did. Thank you. Arts organizations employ more than just artists, curators, and musicians. They also pay plumbers, builders, accountants, printers, occupations spanning many industries. Remember that our economic analysis in this report measures jobs that are supported throughout the community, not just at arts organizations. And because arts organizations are strongly rooted in their communities, these are jobs that necessarily are local. They cannot be shipped overseas. Even in a global economy, arts remain local employers. In our county, most nonprofits employ part-time workers, and that means that the 417 full-time equivalent job number actually comprises payroll paid to many, many more people than 417 because not all of those workers are full-time employees. Please also keep in mind that income generated by arts and culture organizations includes those that are indirectly employed in support of events and performances, sound and lighting technicians that are only paid for each individual performance, custodians for venues like this when events are housed here, caterers, and on and on. Next, please. Local and state government received $1.2 million in revenue in 2015 as a result of the economic impact of nonprofit arts and culture organizations and their audiences in Clackamas County. This study shows that beyond their public benefit, there's also a significant economic return as a result of that investment. Arts funding to nonprofits is not a one-way street. Next, please. So in order to participate in this study, we needed to collect survey information from folks who attended a variety of events and performances and exhibits. We worked with a team of volunteers to do that, and that occupied most of the full year of 2016. Next, please. Like all industries, spending by arts organizations has a measurable economic impact, but unlike most industries, the arts generate a bounty of event-related spending for local businesses, dollars that land in the pockets of local businesses such as restaurants, bars, retail stores, hotels, and even the local babysitters. This chart shows what the average spending looked like for the audience members that we surveyed. Next, please. In addition to spending information, we interviewed attendees about their zip codes so that we could determine whether they live in the county, in which the arts event took place or whether they resided outside the county. And as you can see here, nearly 1/3 of the people who attended our cultural events in 2016 came from outside Clackamas County. And that's very, very close to the national average, which says that 34% of audiences for cultural performances and events come from outside the county or the area in which that event is promoted. Next, please. Our 32% of non-local attendees spent $38.25 per person per event, and that does not include an admission charge. We asked non-local attendees, why are you here? Why did you come? 79% said that I came specifically to attend this arts event. We asked local attendees about what they would have done if that art event they were attending was not taking place. 57% said that they would have traveled somewhere else to attend a similar arts event. So what does that mean? Well, this data basically shows that the power of the arts to draw visitors into the community means that people spend money in that community. It shows that the arts keep locals and discretionary spending in our community here in Clackamas County. Next, please. AEP5's national partners are organizations of public and private sector leaders that steer billions of dollars in public and private sector arts funding. They create arts-friendly policies as well. Why do they do that? For the same reason that we all do that here in Clackamas County. They believe the arts are a fundamental component of a healthy community, and they approved of the methodology that governed this report. In 2017, the National League of Cities reported that about the key issues that face city leaders in their economic development report. And that topped the list at number 1, economic development. Within economic development, arts and culture was listed among just 5 core subject areas, together with jobs, business attraction, and downtown development. Next, please. Of the 140 known arts and culture nonprofits in Clackamas County, those listed here volunteered to participate in this study. So what we know without a doubt is that the $15 million total impact is very conservative and underreported. The actual impact of our nonprofit community is considerably higher when we factor in the organizations that did not have neither the time nor capacity to participate in this study. Next, please. Our community leaders are not the only ones who appreciate the quality of life and the economic value of the arts. As you see here, the American public values this as well. In 2016, 87% said that arts are important to the quality of life, and an impressive 82% also believe that the arts are important to local businesses and the local economy. Next, please. While arts volunteers may not have an economic impact as defined in this study, they clearly have an enormous impact by helping our arts organizations function as a viable industry. As you see here, in 2016, the value of our volunteers here in Clackamas County exceeded $1.25 million and represented more than 54,000 hours of volunteer time. Next, please. And of course, people support arts and culture for their intrinsic values, as well as for the increased quality of life that arts bring both personally and to communities. As you see here, 73% of those surveyed believe that arts are a positive experience in a troubled world. Next, please. The U.S. Bureau of Economic Analysis established the Arts and Cultural Production Satellite Account, and that takes into account the full breadth of the nation's arts and culture industries. And that means not just the nonprofit sector, like the study I'm describing to you today, but also the commercial and entertainment sectors, individual artists, Broadway, the motion picture industry, architecture and design, university education programs, and similar. According to BEA, the arts were a $730 billion industry in 2014, and that represented 4.2% of the nation's gross domestic product, which is a larger share of the economy than transportation, tourism, agriculture, and construction. Next, please. So to conclude, I want to tell you that I am very grateful for you giving me the opportunity to share this information with you today. It's important and critical data, and I hope that we all engage with this information as we conduct future planning. Here at the Arts Alliance, we are committed to making certain that arts and culture are central to life in Clackamas County. Excuse me. And this slide shows you the funders who support our work. So with that, I will conclude and thank you for your time. And I think we will next have Lynda Orzen.
Well, actually, we're going to see if there's questions.
Okay, great.
Well, we've got Cheryl up front. And again, thank you for that presentation. That was a lot of information.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
No, there it is. Okay. Thanks for the information. One of the things that struck me on the local, non-local is that the percentages there are kind of the opposite of the data that we get and has been true for some time from our labor economists like Lynn Wallace, that about 80% of the folks that work in the local area actually don't live here. And so it seems to me that the folks that spend a lot of their time and their economic lives are here in the area are great opportunities for us to grow those dollars, to attract folks that work here back for an arts venue. And you mentioned that one of the reasons that they go from and attend a non-local event is because of the quality or the type of event they can't find elsewhere. Can you talk to us about how that data is being used by your organization to try to promote more sort of, I guess, in-migration of arts consumers?
Great question. And what I can share with you is that we are just beginning to wrap our arms around what this data truly means. What we learned here, as well as what I think you're hearing today for the first time, is a lot of kind of myths have been broken and upset. So we too have been surprised to discover some of the findings that were a result of this report. We are beginning to discuss what our strategies might be to do exactly that, to turn folks from simply commuting in and then leaving to staying and sticking around. I know you'll hear from my colleague at Clackamas Rep very soon about what the theater has been attempting to do in that regard. But I think we're all just beginning to digest and understand what the impact of this data means as we plan our tactics going forward.
Any other questions? All right. We appreciate that. And we'll see if we can get a copy of your PowerPoint slides so that we could go ahead and send those out to our membership as well, because a lot of them like to follow up on all that. Okay. So our next guest is Lynda Orzen, who was one of the founding members of the Three Rivers Artists Guild, I believe. And as I've mentioned earlier, you see Lynda here quite often because she's promoting all kinds of events in our area. So we appreciate that.
Professional volunteer.
There you go. We need more of you. So with no further ado, here's Lynda.
Sometimes I think I need more of me too. Well, I guess I'll start by saying thank you for inviting me here, or letting me invite myself. William mentioned that they were going to have this luncheon, and I said, are there any speakers from TRAG? So I invited myself, but thank you for having me. Okay, I am with the Three Rivers Artists Guild, and one of the founders. The mission of the Three Rivers Guild is to promote an exchange of knowledge and information about all types of art and provide mutual support, encouragement, and education for all of our members. We have 3 galleries in Oregon City. Our main gallery is in the Singer Hill Cafe. That's Three Rivers Gifts and Gallery and Gifts. I need to slow down my talking. We also have two other galleries, the 221 Gallery and the Citizens Bank, both on Molalla. We comprise a very diverse group of art types. Everything from, we have poets, we have painters, we have photographers, and we also have one young lady, 10-year-old lady, young girl who has a boa constrictor, a pet boa constrictor, that when it molts its skin, she creates beautiful pieces of artwork out of it. So I think that is very diverse. Okay, our beginnings. Putting this presentation together, it dawned on me, we're 10 years old. This is our 10-year anniversary. It just 10 years just kind of flew by. But I'm proud to say my child has actually grown up. In February of 2007, we held our first meeting. We also had our first show at the Heart of Oregon at the Museum of the Oregon Territory. In March, we adopted our bylaws and we were official. Within the first year, we pretty much hit the ground running. We were asked to participate in the gallery at the end of the Oregon Trail Interpretive Center. We were also joined the Oregon City Chamber of Commerce because at that point I was very much convinced that artists are definitely part of our business world and they needed to become part of our business community by joining the chamber. The Guild also took part in the Skylight Gallery by the Arts Action Alliance, going through some old memories. Next slide, please. In June of that year, we were also asked to coordinate a recycled art show on climate change, which was hosted by Bill Bradbury, our Secretary of State. That was quite an honor for a very fledgling group to participate with the Secretary of State. In September, we were asked to install an art exhibition for Clackamas Live in Milwaukee. So we did hit the ground running our first year and hasn't really slowed down much since then. Since then, we've also expanded our educational opportunities that include hosting websites, creating interactive Facebook pages, and they also cover legal issues, insurance, tax questions, creative writing, and applying to art shows online. So we're really expanding our venue of education for our artists to include more than just how to set up for an art show, how to apply for an art show, how to create your own biography, artist bio, and how to function as a business person in the community. Next slide, please. And I'm showing this. This was before the Guild was formed, but this is where I got the inspiration for the Guild. After working on the first City Arts Fair, have to get my art shows straightened out. After working on the first City Arts Fair for 5 years, it dawned on me that there was a huge amount of capital changing hands between the artists and the visitors coming to these art shows, and it was thousands and thousands of dollars. Also, the entity that was putting on these art shows was able to actually have money in the bank after the third art show, which we could roll over into our next art shows. And that was something that was pretty much unheard of, to be able to create a budget and be able to stick to your budget and also to raise enough funds to carry over into the next year, like a lot of businesses try to do. Next, please. And these are some of the pictures from our first art show, which was on the Library Park. Our first year, we had artist Lee Kelly let us use some of his sculptures there, which was quite the honor. And it was a great time. You can see the back of the Carnegie without the new library. That's where we had our music. Next slide, please. And these are some of the events that we have been participated in throughout the years. We were quite active our first couple of years in Main Street programs. I was the delegate for the arts community on Main Street. So, of course, I had to bring in our Artist Guild to participate in a lot of the art events. We had an art walk, First Friday Art Walk, for a year. We participated in the First City Celebration for 3 years, providing art support. One of our most unusual events was out at Hopkins Tree Farm. We had an art show out at the tree farm in their facility, and they were trying to let people know about their facility, the demonstration tree farm, but also their Hopkins Hall, which had just been built, which was helped by the Oregon City Chamber of Commerce. And so this was a unique event of bringing people out into the forest and also using forest products as part of our displays. And then we also did this year, or 2016 was our first signature event, the Oregon City Festival of the Arts, which we carried over this year, which was a huge, huge success. And it will be carried on next year by someone else. I'm not going to be the coordinator. Yay! Next slide, please. And our alliances. We have been a member of the Oregon City Chamber of Commerce for 10 years, Oregon City Business Alliance, I believe, for 3 years, Buy Local Oregon City. I'm not sure how long we've been with them. We've been members or supporters of the Clackamas Arts Alliance and the Regional Arts and Culture. Next slide, please. We have a Partners in Art program, which our individual artists will be contacted by businesses in our community that would like to participate in our program and have art in their businesses. This is free to the artists. They come in, they install their artwork, and the art is for sale, and the artist can work one-on-one with the business or the person who's buying the piece of artwork. So, excuse me, these are past and present businesses that we have been participating with in the last couple of years. Next slide, please. Our annual events, the Holiday Art Show and Sale, which we have cards on your table to take home with you to remind you to come to our 10th year anniversary. This is going to be a big one this year because we forgot that this was actually our 10-year anniversary, so we're going to have a party, big party. We also participate in the Rose Farm once a year. They have an event where they open up the grounds and they invite our artists out to do plein air paintings. Art Extravaganza, we have provided the volunteers for the Art Extravaganza for the 2 years in a row. We have gallery artist receptions. Every 2 months, we rotate our artists out of the gallery and new artists come in, and we have an event that people can come in and meet our new artists, and the Oregon City Festival of the Arts for the past 2 years. Next slide, please. And this was just a picture from one of our First City Arts Fairs. This was before they started putting the trees out at the end of the Oregon Trail Interpretive Center. We were able to get 70 artists on the grounds of the Interpretive Center, and it was a fun time. We just really, really enjoyed it. But after several years of doing that, we got burnt out. Next slide, please. And this was from our Art and Windows on Main Street. And I believe we have someone here that we can thank for Don Slack. Is he here? There you are. Yes, Don was able to let us use some of his empty buildings, office spaces, to put our artwork in for a couple of years, and we just want to thank him for having trust in us to beautify these little places. So this was one of our nomad galleries on Main Street. Next slide, please. And this is our holiday show out at the Pioneer Community Center. Back in 2007, Kathy Weissman, the director at the Pioneer Center, invited us out there. She wanted to have she wanted to bring people in, she wanted to have artwork. So we gave her a nice party, and we've been doing it for the last 10 years. Next slide. And this was our first official gallery in 2009. The Friends of the Library bookstore had expanded, and they found that they had too much space. So they reached out to the Three Rivers Artists Guild, and we put in a small gallery in their bookstore. Next slide, please. And in 2014, our library director wanted to have an art show out at the library, so we gave her a one-day event, which was a lot of fun. So this is how we work with our community. Whenever an organization wants to have an art show or something, they can come to us and say, we want to do something. Can you put on an art show? Can you help us install something? And we're there to help them do that. Next slide, please. And this was from the Hopkins Forest of Art, 2013 to 2015, 3 years we were out there, and it was a lot of fun. Does anyone know where, are you familiar with Hopkins Demonstration Tree Farm? Great place to hike. I'm out there 5 nights a week, doing the hills. It's a great place to go. A lot of water right now, too. Next slide, please. And this is, I wanted to get some figures on exactly how much we gave back to the community. And this was just taken from our, from this year's income, 2017 through August. We have spent $1,600 on insurance, $44,000 or $4,400 on marketing, city permits. We use local printers, we use local entertainment, we use local people for signage, we hired our Oregon City Police Department for our security, and of course our rent is local too. It goes to Singer Hill Cafe, which we want to thank for inviting us to participate in their cafe with our gallery. Total revenues for the Guild this year has been almost $40,000. We don't just take in money from the community, we also distribute it back out to the community. We have given over $900 this year, Meals on Wheels program, and also to the Oregon City Elementary Public Schools art programs. And next, please. Thank you. And in conclusion, I put out a little email to our artists asking how many were full-time artists, a list of questions. Anyway, I got a handful of responses back. But anyhow, this one is from our vice president, and he says, his response was, the Guild provides resources and opportunities to exhibit and sell our artwork that's difficult to create on your own, especially if it's not your primary source of income. It also works well to help us connect with local businesses and residents. With the advent of online art sales and having art from around the world being available at the click of a button, it is more important than ever for artists to be able to connect with the community directly, to be viable and sell art. This is especially true for those of us who have pieces that are only really applicable to this region. He relies on our connections and resources provided by TRAG and the Clackamas Arts Alliance to help make my art exist in the community. And the second one is from a newer Guild member. No, there it is. The next one is from a longtime member. Actually, Melissa Gannon has been, I've known Melissa Gannon for 15 years. She was in our very first art show when we put the art show on under the Arts Commission, Oregon City Arts Commission. And she is a full-time artist. This is her main source of income. She does shows and she teaches. And she said that TRAG has fulfilled a need in our area by serving as a gathering place for artists to exchange information, promote and produce opportunities for artists, such as art shows in the art gallery, promotes artists through advertising and by being part of the community, and pretty much showing us that we are not alone. I really appreciate everything the Guild has done for me since I've been a member. And this is one of the reasons why we did form the Guild, is to let artists in our community know you aren't alone. There's a huge amount of people here that are here to support you, not just within the Guild, but also with the Arts Action Alliance. And the last quote is from a newer member who is very impressed with the quality of art, high level of organization, and the commitment of the TRAG members to bringing art into the community. The Oregon City Festival of the Arts is a good example of an event that was very well planned, organized, and executed to the benefit of not only the local community, but reaching into Portland and the surrounding area. The last one just says, thank you, OCBA, for the invitation. And there you go, if you want to read it. I'm good at putting together PowerPoints. I'm not too good at following them. Any questions? Yes, William.
Oh, hold
my
on.
gosh, William's got a question.
Hold on.
Oh, be still my heart.
Thank you, Lynda, for the presentation. Do you know, and it'd have to be a guess, I'm sure, how many artists there are in Oregon City? And of those, wouldn't it be nice to know how many are full-time, and are there any full-time, and the amount of money that they bring into our community? Do you have any idea? Well, maybe your membership. I'm sure there are artists that are not members of TRAG, but just generally.
That's the email that I sent out to our TRAG members, is how many are full-time artists, part-time artists, do this for fun, just started out. I'm going to make a guesstimation that we probably have we have 150 members in our guild at this point, roughly 150. I'm going to say probably about 10 to 15%, that is their primary source of income, because I do know a handful of artists that this is their primary source of income. This is all they do, is their art and shows. So, yeah. And how many there are in Oregon City, I have no idea. A lot, a whole lot. More than we have at the Guild. Because we have artists not just from Oregon City, but also from surrounding areas. We've got them from Beaverton, Portland, Sandy. Any other questions?
I thought I saw another hand pop up there.
I'm not afraid of questions. I'll make up an answer.
Well, first of all, thank you for an amazing presentation.
Well, thank you.
Both yours, Lynda's, and Cheryl's really have enlightened me, as I'm sure is the same for our membership, about all the different events and activities that the arts is involved with right here in our local community that none of us really were aware of. You get bits and pieces, but you're kind of are connecting all the dots for us, and we really appreciate that.
I didn't realize how many events we did in our first year. And I didn't realize that this was our 10-year anniversary.
So how big of a party is that going to be?
I don't know. It'll be at the Pioneer Center.
Big. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. So David and your associate,
Jayne.
Jayne,
Yes.
I'll turn it over to you.
All right, thank you. Thank you for inviting us today. And I always get so excited when I hear about how much really is going on in this community. Oregon City is a wonderful place. I have committed my life to this place, and I'm never sorry that I have. I'm delighted to be here and to be a part of this community. When we started Clackamas Repertory Theater 13 years ago, where does the time go? I don't know, Lynda, it really zips by. We recognized at that point the very, very important part of this is to be a part of our business community, to be a part of what goes on here, and to support it and participate in it. And as a result, we are members of the Oregon City Chamber of Commerce and the North Clackamas Chamber of Commerce, and also Rotary. And we're pleased to be involved in those organizations and to really feel like we are a part of what goes on here. When we started this theater thing that we do, this Clackamas Repertory Theater, we had just completed at the college a beautiful new structure. How many of you have seen Osterman Theater? It's a fantastic structure that we were able to get. And after we got it, I said to myself, you know, I've had a whole bunch of really wonderful students come through this program, really talented and dedicated and hardworking students, Jayne being one of them, and that we, during that period of time, many of them had gone on, completed their education, and were coming back into our community. And I got them together at one point and said, listen, would you guys like to be a part of a theater? And they said, yeah, let's do that. So that was how we began that. I brought together Chris Whitten, who is our designer, and Elva Bradford, our amazing costumer, and my wonderful wife, I think, which most of you know, Cindy, and said, let's do this. Let's start this theater. And one of the things that I wanted to make sure that we did at that time was to always include the current students, even though we are separate from the college. We operate separately. We don't get any funding from the college or anything. We just use the space. But I still, I taught there for 24 years, so I had a certain commitment to the place. And I wanted to make sure that we carried that on and that we would provide we provide jobs for these guys, current and former and experience, working in a professional theater, because that's where we went with this, to become a professional, full-time professional theater where everybody gets paid. Great scar. This year, we gave contracts to students, current students and former students, in the amount of $56,650. So we provide real income as well as real experience for these guys to work. And most of them, of course, work backstage, but when it's appropriate, they also you'll see them working on stage as actors. So they're off, most of them spend a whole week's back in the shop, building the sets, painting them, creating the props, all of those things, lights and sound, all those things that go, and then help run those things when we do the productions. This year, we had, it's interesting you're talking about tourism and the connection here with tourism. We had a total of 9,285 people so far who have attended productions that we've done this year, which include the 3 that we do here in the summer. And the reason we set that up to do these productions in the summer, of course, is because the rest of the time, the college needs the space for their program to run. So we do this and have been doing this ever since we began, the 3 productions in the summertime when this theater is empty. And this year, in addition to that, we've done readings and the gala and Wing It, which is our kids program, which Jayne's going to talk about in a little bit. It's pretty cool. And also a cabaret concert. We also started this year doing something called bar theater. And just across the street here at the Oregon City Brewing Company, we wondered how it would go. And so we announced that we were doing this first production, and it sold out. So we thought, well, okay, we better have another one. And it sold out. And so we got another date, and it sold out. So it was fun. It worked really well, and it was a nice place to be in, a nice place to work. They're good people, and they make really good beer. Really good beer. Great stuff. Of the 9,285 people that we attracted to our productions, 22% came from Oregon City. So it's pretty amazing that 78% are coming from someplace else. So we feel like we're participating in this tourism business around here and bringing these people in who come in and spend money in our community. And it's pretty exciting to just look at that figure. Also, the first year that we were in business, we had a budget of $30,000. And this year, I have to make sure, I have to read that again, I can't believe it, $334,000. And of that, ticket sales are about $182,000, so it's about 60% of our budget is ticket sales, which in this business is actually pretty good to have that high a number. So the rest of it comes from you guys, and we appreciate that very much. Businesses and individuals, it's fabulous to have you as a part of us. And so I'd like to now turn this over to Jayne, who is now working with us in our office. She's the assistant managing director, works with Cindy in the office all the time. She also, those of you who have seen shows have seen Jayne on the stage, a wonderful actor, and also now directing shows for us. She's directed the one that's going on right now, Tigers Be Still. And it's a terrific production that she's put together. So let me turn this over to Jayne. Thank you all.
Thank you, David. Yeah, so I want to talk a little bit about these people that we are bringing to the theater. So David mentioned out of our 9,200 that we patrons that we served this season, 78% of those were from outside of Oregon City. Now this also includes like Milwaukee, West Lynn, like Oswego. So they are, I would say, local, and they're also in Clackamas County, but they're coming from outside of Oregon City. And so that was actually very startling when we looked at that. We had assumed that the people who were coming to see our shows were people who live in Oregon City, but really, when you look at the demographics, they're coming from outside of Oregon City. Why is this important? Because we're bringing these people to your business communities where they spend money. Before they come to the show, they might go out to dinner. After the show, they might go get a drink. Another big part of this is the money that we use to put on the shows, the materials. We spent over $16,000 this season at local businesses for props, costumes. We spent a majority of that money goes to Home Depot, Miller Paint, Joann Fabrics, and yes, these are big companies that are all over the country. They're not necessarily local companies, but we do support the local branches of these companies. We don't go to the Home Depot off of, in Portland. We go to the Home Depot in Oregon City because the people who work at the Home Depot in Oregon City live in Oregon City, and we like to support these businesses. We also provide affordable entertainment to Clackamas County. How do we do this? We provide Arts for All tickets. These are tickets for people who are holders of the Oregon Trail card. They can come to the theater and they can buy a $5 ticket to see our show. So this is a way that we can provide affordable entertainment to people who can't necessarily buy the season pass or the single tickets. As you know, we have to sell those tickets because 60% of our budget comes from ticket sales. So of course, we have to have those full price tickets, but we like to offer a discount to those who can't pay the full $30 to see our productions. We also offer group sales, and this last year we brought in several groups. These sales, if you have a group of 10 or more, you get a 10% discount on the single ticket price. Groups of 15 or more get a 15% discount. And groups that we served this season, the Willamette View Retirement Center, they bring in a group. Mary's Woods, Country Village Meadows Group, Village Retirement, Freedom Tours Northwest, Calaroga Terrace, City of Vancouver, and Cherrywood Village. All of these retirement centers or senior groups brought in groups of at least 10 or more seniors to visit our shows. And most of them buy the season pass, so they come to all 3 shows of the season. And so this comprised of over $6,000 in ticket sales in our 2017 season. So we are pretty proud of that. We also offer complimentary tickets to high school theater students in Clackamas County and beyond. Usually it's just the Clackamas County students that take us up on the offer because they know that we exist. We offer it to other theaters, but since we are in the summer, it's hard to get other schools in there that aren't local. But this year, we had the Malala High School students came and saw our shows, and also Oregon City High School. The CCC Theater Department also brings their students, so we have college students that come and watch the shows. And then we had a new group this year. It's an LGBTQ group. They're called the Living Room Group, and this is a group of young artists throughout Clackamas County, and they comprise this group, and they came and saw our shows as well. So like David said, we've made a commitment at CRT to hire current and former students, and last year we spent over $56,000 on these contracts. We hired 59 current CCC students in our 2017 season, and they worked backstage in the shop, they ran the crew, and they also worked on our children's show Wing It as actors. They run the soundboard and the light board. So a lot of the things that you see that you don't even think about when you're at the theater are the backstage crew members and all the work that they put in throughout the season. We also hired 46 positions were hired. Former CCC students were hired in those positions. And these were positions like myself. I count myself in that group. I directed, I also acted in shows, and there's also other actors who we hire back. You know, they go off, they get their degree at another school, then they come back to CRT, and we can hire them as professionals. We also, we hire other people at the theater, other artists beyond people who are connected to Clackamas Community College. And last year, Clackamas Rep spent $92,000 on contracts to artists in our season. So we employed a lot of people. That's a lot of people. And those people, they buy their gas in Oregon City. A lot of them own property. They pay their property taxes. They go shopping, they eat. So they spend this money that they're making in Oregon City and the areas around it. CRT, we like to put money back into the Oregon City business community. Like I said, we spent $16,000 at local businesses, and this money was spent for props, costumes, and sets. We also have tried to make new partnerships with businesses. Last year, we started the bar theater at Oregon City Brewing, and this is something that we want to continue this year. We're still looking for businesses that might want to host us in a staged reading event. So please feel free to contact us if that's something that you're interested in. We haven't set our season for 2018, so we're still in the planning stages. We also use printing services from Buell's Impressions, MCO, which is like a electronic mailing company. They help us send out our postcards and manage our mailing list. And we've spent over $4,000 with those businesses this last season. And our partnership with the OC Brewing Company made over $2,000 in ticket sales. That was money they got to keep. So it is something that, we have the patrons to come and see these events, and so we just are trying to find more locations in Oregon City so that we can reach more people to let them know that we exist. CRT this year was voted the best place to see a show in Oregon City. We are pretty proud of that. I think we were up against the movie theater, yeah. We would have been a little sad if we didn't take home that honor. But we're pretty proud of it, and we have that, our award in our lobby, and we're proud to call Oregon City our home. So yeah, we're really happy to be here in Oregon City, and I just want to let you know we do have some events coming up if you want to check us out, if you haven't yet been able to make it up there. We have our Wing It, which is our kids show. It's an interactive show for kids 2 to 10. We sing, we dance. They also get a chance to come up on stage in our talent show portion. They can tell a joke, sing a song, do a dance. And all the characters are real fun. This is really accessible, and it's fun for adults too. We do lots of 80s music, 60s music to try to get the parents involved as well. And so our show coming up is this next Saturday, September 30th. It's at 10:30 in the morning. And again, this is very affordable, $5 at the door. And really, it's just a real fun time. I will be portraying my character of Spat the Cat. And I'm really looking forward to that. Also, our last show, it closes this following weekend, Tigers Be Still. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, you should. It's a new comedy, and, it's a little edgy for CRT, but we're proud of what we've done, and we like to kind of shake it up a bit and nudge people along to try new things. So that's what we're doing here at CRT. So thank you for your time. Question.
Before you leave, let's just see if anybody has any questions. Well,
Sure.
David, why don't you stay up there where you have the mic? Did I see a hand go up? Okay. First of all, I want to know what you eat in the morning because I want to eat it. that Jayne, she's got energy that's just endless. I love it.
Woo! Sorry.
Calm down. David and Jayne, thank you very much for being here, of course, but I want to say this is an amazing enterprise that you have built. This is, literally sprung from nothingness into a very successful program that has a tremendous impact on our community, and you have, of course, another small army of volunteers that help, but it has really made a significant impact. And the question that I have, and thank you very much for all the statistical input, which I found really enlightening. I'm curious about your long-range plans. Would you ever expect to expand this enterprise into a larger venue, go beyond? I know there's some constrictions already because of the fact that you're on the campus and they have other classes there, but would you ever consider making that a larger enterprise? Because it seems to me as though this whole region of the metro area could really respond to something larger than what you're doing now.
William, are you reading my mind? Yes, I'd love to be able to have a full regular season and love to have a theater in Oregon City that was a destination for people, and where we where we could expand. I love the college. I love being there. I love the facility. But as you pointed out, and as I set it up 13 years ago, we are restricted in what we can do for good reason. They need to use that for the theater department. So, William and anybody else who wants to start raising the money to make this possible, we would certainly be behind that and work with anybody on that kind of a project.
Okay, and then I saw another hand over here.
Oh, yeah. It's a great theater, and I like it small. I hope you don't go too big. But anyway, do you have your next season laid out yet?
I'd have to kill you if I told you.
Okay.
And no, we wouldn't want to make it larger. I'd just like to have it where we could do, if you needed to do more performances in a week, that would be great. Love to have that. But I wouldn't want to really get to a larger facility particularly. Yeah.
Okay, well, David, Jayne, thank you again so much. Great information there. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, we have one more speaker, Judy Stanley, who owns Harmony Music in Gladstone. So I'm going to go ahead and give you the mic.
Thank you. So I'm going to talk just a little bit from a little different aspect because we're not an Oregon City-based business, but our founder is an Oregon City resident, so I think that's the real connection. Her name is Jan Kaiser. Never blows her horn nearly loud enough, but she created a business that started in the 90s that is now an international business. And in fact, next summer, if plans go forward as we expect, we're expecting a group from China to come on a tour to to this area to visit the founding school that Jan started with the Harmony Road music courses. This company is now an international company. The curriculum is used throughout the United States and in several Asian countries, and so they are well versed with shipping overseas and all the rules that go with that. I think that Jan is close to selling the license to a group in China to do their own publishing so that she won't have to do that shipping back and forth all the time. Jan she's really well known in the music world because she was a Yamaha music teacher and school owner and trainer for probably 20 to 30 years before she developed the Harmony Road program, which was an outcome of her Yamaha experience. And her first location she has never been on Harmony Road. The school has never been on Harmony Road. The school that's on Harmony Road now is closed, and it was Joyful Noise Music. But anyway, when I met her, I met her in the 90s when she had a location across from Kaiser Sunnyside. And it was a small place that she used to teach Yamaha there, and then she changed it to the Harmony Road courses that she wrote. And she has a close association with the music department at the University of Oregon, and we often have graduates from that program coming up to become certified Harmony Road music teachers, so that they can start their schools. Many of them are from Asia. They get their education here, then they go back to Asia and start schools there. So on our first graduating student, she graduated from high school maybe 3 or 4 years ago. She's now going to be opening a school in Corvallis, so that's a good thing. And we have students who have developed their own performing groups and are well known in the region, if not semi-nationally, as far as some of their performances. So the other part of what I do is I operate Harmony Road Music Center. So there's a distinction between Harmony Road Music Company and Harmony Road Music Center, which just happens to be the name is the same. I have the school, and I bought the school from Jan in 2009, that she first opened as it was her very first school. Over the years, I don't know the statistics of how many kids that we've educated, that school has educated over the years. It's been in its current location since 1999. I know our student body population is around 250. So we run about 220, 250 kids through our program every week. And we draw from all of Clackamas County. And what I like to think about our music industry is that we're developing future citizens and future leaders. Because children who start in music as a youngster, they have skills for confidence and performance skills and knowledge and empathy that other kids don't get. We're training people to use their brains and their hands and their eyes and their mouths instead of looking right down at their little electronic devices. Jan researched music education when she started this program, and she found that the prime age for brain development is 3 to 5, 3 to 6. So kids that come into our group, or our school at that age, have a real advantage. Kids that stay with us through junior high, which is kind of the big drop-off point for any music education program, and end up and continue graduating from college, are always very successful leaders and students in there, and multi-talented students. They're soccer players. They play in bands. We have one student that is in the Sheridan area, and I think he plays 4 or 5 different instruments, and he's now becoming a jazz musician that he's actually getting paid for. So we have lots of successes that way. We have lots that don't stay with us long, but we have lots that stay with us a long time. So as far as the school itself, we have 7 teachers and 3 part-time staff. So none of us, I work full-time because that's what owners do, is you work full-time. But I don't have any full-time employee, but I have 8 part-time employees, so that they're supplemental income for their businesses. One employee is also a teacher at Lewis and Clark. In fact, she moved from the East Coast to Oregon simply because of Jan. And so she's developed a nice career in Lewis and Clark. We've had teachers that have retired from the North Clackamas School District that have taught with us for over 20 years that have developed programs. So we're really in the business of developing soft skills. And I see a smile back there on a face. Her toddler grandchild is in our school, and you can attest to what a success that is. If a toddler is socialized at 18 months to 3 years, then they're confident for the rest of their lives. And our program will teach them many, many skills besides music. And I'm not really sure what else to say. I can't give you any hard figures as far as the financial benefit, but I know that we support local artists in our school, that we sell their product. In fact, I have a Three Rivers Artists Guild making music-themed plates to bring into the school to sell. And I can't remember her name right now, and we have an artist from Eagle Creek who makes ceramic jewelry that we bring in, and another from the vicinity that makes wire jewelry. I'll always like to support all the parents that bring their children to us and support their businesses. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer about what our school is all about. And I swear that I can teach any adult how to play the piano. There's only one person that I couldn't teach, and that was simply because he'd had way too many injuries to his hand to be able to have the flexibility that his hands needs. But the process that Jayne developed will teach anybody how to play. Oops, sorry.
Any questions? William again?
William, he's the prompter. He's our coach back there, yeah.
I'm always filled with questions. Jan, the business that you do, I consider a traded sector business, and the fact that it brings money from outside this community into this community, whether it's directly or indirectly. I'm wondering about the character development of your students. Do you have any way of tracking their success after they have left your programs? Do you know how many graduate from college and how many are able to apply their skills?
Much of it's anecdotal. There's a young man named Grant Elman who he didn't graduate from our program because he moved to California and he's getting his music degree now, but he's traveling the state recording music and meeting people. There's a saxophone, a gal that plays the saxophone that had her early education at Kaiser. I used to work for Kaiser, at Harmony Road. No statistics have been kept over the years, and it's too bad because it would have been nice. Lynda?
Oh, Lynda, hold on. Where are the cameras?
No question, just I'm very impressed that it's an international company that Jan had started.
And
not
she
just
doesn't
local.
talk about that, and that's really too bad.
I know she travels a lot, but I had no idea it was...
Yeah, she's not traveled for the last couple of years, but there was 2 or 3 years that she was making 2 or 3 trips to China to help train teachers over there. And she is the single person who certifies all the Harmony Road music instructors at this point. So
Very impressive.
Yes, very impressive. That little body, you just never know what people are going to accomplish. I do want to make a plug for the Holiday Art Show. Our students have been performing there, I think maybe for 5 years. We've had students come in and just do a little background music. And the first year we were kind of out in the lobby, and then they moved us in a little bit closer, and then they moved us around in the corner, and now they gave us a prominent spot. So our students will come in and play. We're usually there on the Saturday afternoon, and it's open to all age groups. And so some of our 5-year-old kids are going to be playing, and some of our high schoolers. So we just never know for sure what they're going to do because it's free. It's totally open to whatever they want to play.
All right, Judy, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And that thank you goes to all our speakers today. I really had no idea exactly what all we were going to be discussing and covering. I kind of knew what the theme of what our event, our forum was going to be, but boy, this was a lot better than I had expected. And there's a lot going on out there. We're very fortunate. Yes, we are. Oh, here comes my cohort in crime, William, again. Just can't seem to, the Blues Brothers, we're just sticking together here today.
I just have to share this, that I was doing a little research when I had heard something about something from the National Endowment of the Arts, and I looked up their tagline, and it's a horrible tagline that they want to change, but it's something that everybody's been familiar with for a long time, and it's called "Because a Great Nation Deserves Great Art," which really sucks, because every nation deserves great art. And what do you mean deserves great art? And so the new director is trying to come up with something else, and I think that they're working towards something called Art Works. And I think the presentations that we heard here today talk about the fact that art does work. Art creates employment, art creates income, art creates money that is spent in our communities, and I really and truly believe that art does work. And I want to thank all the artists in the world.
You bet. You bet. Okay, well, that concludes our presentations for today. So I'm going to touch a little bit on what we're doing next month. We're going to be having Providence Hospital come in and share some of their plans, their vision for their expansion. And we have Renee here from Providence with us today. So I'm going to let you just share a few words as to what the theme and talking points will be.
I'll just give you a quick sneak peek. It'll be Russ Reinhard who will be presenting next month. And you may have seen we've got a building probably a quarter of the way done. We've crossed Division Street on the corner of 15th and Division. He'll talk a little bit about what that building will be used for. We've got some new clients as well as existing tenants moving in. And then we have our master plan that we're starting to move into the next phase of enacting that, and he'll be able to share with you. I don't think we've talked about it much, so you'll be the first audience to hear more about the next phase of our master plan.
Perfect. We truly look forward to that, because my wife recently had to have surgery at Willamette Falls, and she just had an amazing experience. Very, very wonderful people there, and she recommends Providence, Willamette Falls to everybody. So we'll look forward to that. Remember, that's always on the fourth Tuesday of every month. And we're just going to continue to hold our forums here at the Abernathy Center. It's just easier for the kitchen staff to be able to accommodate walk-ins. And we'll just kind of cluster people close to the speakers so that everybody can hear very good. Again, just like always, we have comment cards on the table. If you would go ahead and fill those out, give us feedback as to what you liked or what you'd like to see changed in our presentations. If you're not a member of the OCBA, you can go ahead and leave us your contact information on those cards so we can reach out to you with more information about who we are, what we do, the themes of our presentations that we've done over the last several years. We're excited to be a part of the Oregon City community, and we welcome each and every one of you to keep coming back every month. So with that being said, go out and enjoy the sunshine and have a wonderful rest of the week.